Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to Pink Turns Purple. It is your girl, Miss Jennifer Pink, and I am so excited that you decided to join me and some amazing thrivers as we share our stories, not only dealing with domestic violence and how we survive, but really how we decided to thrive because we are living our best life. We ain't going back and forth with them. You know what I'm about to say. But right there. So at first, I want to make sure that I encourage all of you watching. If this video resonates with you, if anything that either one of us says touches your heart, or you feel like somebody else needs to hear it, just click that forward button on your email so that they can get it too. Because we don't want to be, and we don't want to keep it to ourselves. We want everybody to get this information. Of course, I want you to encourage them to also sign up so that they can get all the emails, because there may be something else for them in the series. So don't keep it to yourself. Encourage them to sign up and join and register. It is completely free. So register at bit.ly/pink turns purple. That's just the colors. Pink turns purple. And then, of course, I'd like to encourage you to support us in making a difference in African American communities that are affected by domestic violence, because we are the largest growing population affected, but we are the least likely to receive services. So let us make a difference in our own community by supporting us by either buying a tea or buying a book and tea combo, just so that we can make a difference in the community. But right now, I would like to introduce you to Thrive Her, JNicolle. Everybody say hi, JNicolle. But before we get started, let me tell you a little bit about who she is. JNicolle is a young Christian woman on a mission, a mother, mentor, college graduate, visionary, and a dynamic communicator, a thriving business owner, motivating teacher, and humanitarian committed to mentoring and encouraging women, young girls, children, and families to help them discover their highest potential. For the past 20 years, JNicolle has evolved with a God-given vision of, is it beauty?
Oh, beauty. Like you were saying, beauty is beauty.
Okay. She spells it really pretty, so you guys have to, you'll see it and you'll know why. Based from her favorite passages, Psalms 139:14 and Romans 10:15. She truly believes beauty comes from within. In today's society, we are nearly forced to believe that a pretty face and little body is beauty. We know that ain't true. God created us so uniquely that we can be any size and own our beauty beyond what social media taunts. Her ministry and professional life is one. As a professional cosmetologist, the Signature Boutique was the beginning of Beauty Inc. LLC. Now she's online, mobile, and personal with exclusive deals at an affordable price to enhance the fearfully and wonderfully made woman. Bi-monthly, she provides beauty treatments to those in transition from domestic violence encounters, as well as single mothers who need that new look to get them to the next level in life. The Style Me Be Beautiful experience was birthed from a passion for shoes. Don't we have those, ladies? In 2005, as it is written, how beautiful are the feet of those who bring good news. Romans 10:15. You know what? I've never heard that scripture, but I like that. She has spent over 15 years styling with pieces from her personal closet. She then began a boutique in her home after friends would borrow her accessories, clothes, and shoes. Based on the feedback and the glow from women and teens, she decided to open a local boutique of her own, showcasing emerging designers and affordable fashions, and a retail entrepreneur was born. It is her goal to provide affordable luxuries with a personal shopper twist. As a personal stylist, she is gifted to show you how to own your beauty authentically. Hello, Miss JNicolle.
Oh.
So I want you to share with us your personal domestic violence story.
Oh, wow. Being a single mother at a young age probably was the beginning of understanding what was going on in my life. A mother at 16, I had no plans of being that, but it had occurred. That was my first initial understanding that domestic violence can come verbally. So I experienced verbally, the abuse of, being talked to inappropriately, and being, ingesting all of those things. Then later on in life, learning that then I would move in towards getting into a relationship that became physical, which was my first onset of knowing that, if a person is not whole from within, they will act out on you, how they feel, and then begin to leave an impression on you physically, where they're touching you inappropriately, punching you for no apparent reason, and things of that nature. And that was my very first encounter with that, from a man that I thought really adored me. That we went to church together. We did a lot of things together where it was like you thought you knew this person, and then all of a sudden when you get to your home, you weren't even living together, but you're in your own home, and someone's mad at you, and then they come over and mistreat you. So then you leave that relationship and then you go to the next relationship. You thought you got away from, that vulgarness, that, from being, talked to inappropriately, touched inappropriately. Then you get into another one, you get a combination of it all. And this time you almost nearly go blind in one eye. And it's like, okay, this is not what love is. I forever will have the, embedded trauma to my eye. I can see really decent out of my one eye, but it's just still like, that's always a constant reminder of the fact that, love should have never hurt. And it did. Not once, not twice, but 3 times. And then that person looks at you to this day and still don't really think they've done anything, because mind you, now I have 2 children by that person. And so it's always a consistent reminder of the fact that, I almost lost, not only my sight, but I could have lost my life as well too. So getting to finding that woman, who was she beyond attracting these people that had so much damage of themselves, that then they put damage onto me. And so now I have, for years at one point, walked around like the victim and had to find who I really was. And out of those 3 incidents, I probably now I've always been single. I've never been married, uh, been in, relationships and things of that nature. But at the same token, finding out who I was in these last 19 years to now kind of get to the point that, I understand relationships differently and know that finding that woman that can actually thrive from what she's been. I don't look like what I've been through. A lot of people don't know the story. They know glimpses of it. I haven't shared it in a sense. This is probably my second time on a media platform actually even speaking about it, that others can really hear in depth, to know that, it comes in all shapes, forms, and fashion of being abused. It's not just, the physical, but internally we can in turn keep so much things bottled inside that we don't know that, we're damaged as well because of the abuse of someone else.
Oh, gotta find the unmute button. I first of all, thank you for gracing us with your story, for this being your second time telling the story, even, making it a public thing. Like, I'm totally grateful, like, because I know what that feels like to finally be ready to open up and talk about it. And the fact that, you didn't open up and talk about it from a place of anger and hurt still. You waited until you really healed. And like you said, now I'm ready to, maybe have a marriage, maybe, I understand relationships better. I know myself now. I'm ready. But you took that time, I hate that it was 19 years, but hey, whatever it takes, I'm just glad that you took that time to.
I think it became, even within the time, even the night, I've said some things about it, but not to the point that where others really were just like, oh, you're just enough. And I think, people that kind of sweep it under the rug a little bit. And then when I, candidly talk about it, or people ask me, why is the eye a little puffy? Or, why does that look like a little bubble under your eye? Then I have to go into maybe explaining it. as the reason why it flares up every now and then, the pressure and things of that nature. It has now become a conversation. But I would have to even say before then, I was ready to talk about it. It just wasn't maybe the time or place, or there wasn't a you, you know. So I feel as though, yeah, even in the midst of all that time frame, I have grown from it. I have learned from it, and I'm living from a place of peace. I'm living from a place of, I'm happy, and I'm living from a place that I know that I can receive what, God has for me. I wouldn't, my baggage has been unpacked, so to speak. So I'm not bringing this into something else.
Right,
And
right.
that's what I see a lot of people do.
Right. Anybody who follows me, you guys know my favorite thing is let's unpack them bags. Like, because we,
Mm-hmm.
especially as women, we walk around with these humongous, like, you couldn't even get on the airplane with these bags
I
of stuff. You know what I'm saying? Like, we couldn't go. They be trying to charge us all kind of overages, and we be in the airport cussing folks out. Like, oh no, I can't afford all this. But
Right.
yet we walk around with that daily, and we
Mm-hmm.
never take the time to unpack
Right.
those bags. So I'm gonna ask you,
Mm-hmm.
how did you unpack those bags and get to that place of peace that you're in now? Like, what was the process like for you?
The process for me really came, I would have to say, when I lost my father in 2004. And when Dad died, there was a conversation we had probably a couple of nights before he passed. And he was telling me that, where I lived at that one specific time, he was like, this is not your last place. Nor was the time that when you were involved in those situations that you think nobody knows about. That was not your final destination. He said, there's a bigger world. You need to see the bigger picture, because one day soon somebody will hear your story and they will have to know how they can live their best life. It's so funny that that's the trending theme around here now. But back in 2004, my daddy wanted me to live my best life and wanted me to be free. And my father was a pastor. So it was like he would tell me, he said, I know you're running. And he said, but you have to understand, where the sole of your foot tread is your pulpit. So don't worry about being behind one. You open up your mouth and speak and don't be scared. So one night, laying in my room, something was bothering me very, very bad. And I had this emotional kind of, if you want to call it a breakdown, if you want to call it whatever, but that moment was my wake up call. And here I have these precious sons, and I'm looking at them, and I'm like, how am I going to benefit them if I'm still broke? And I'm their only model that they will see. My dad is gone because their fathers, you know, um, did not take the time really to get to know them and rear them as, gentlemen. My dad did that. And then I was blessed to get into a church that, the brothers were real brothers and they weren't trying to sleep with the sisters. So I had to go out there.
That's a whole
Because
nother conversation for a whole nother day, but y'all know what she talking about.
the whole thing. But it was essential because I ran into that. And here it is. I'm this broken woman. I don't need you to break me any further because I'm not healed and ready to even be involved. And so I had to position myself in a place that I could not only just hear from God, but answer to those things that was breaking me inside and that broke me. So I went through a step of where you call like grieving, you go through grieving, the crying out, the healing part, and all that kind of stuff. Internally, I had to deal with me. I had to write. A journal was my best friend. And so I had to write out everything that I was feeling, everything that I was going through, the thoughts in my head, because what people don't realize too is that depression will sink in. And you will find that sometimes, you can have some form of mental trauma, illness, or whatever can sink in. But I wrote it out. I found me a good accountability person. I got some counseling, from some great mentors and stuff like that were in that profession. But then the next thing I really had to do was deal with me. Me knows me. And when I sat down to really talk to me, look at that woman in the mirror and start speaking life to her, because she was walking wounded and she was helping people while bleeding and different things of that nature, because she had such a nurturing heart. And so I had to really get big in and big with me. And then the next thing was I had to be honest with my children and for them to understand why mama was packing up and moving it, why mama was doing this, why mama was doing that. I had to sit down and have this woman to young men conversation as to, you know, the real reason why I had the surgery because I lied. And I had to be honest with them as the reason why mama's eye was this way and why mama's leg was this way. You know, so I had to be honest. And when I became more honest, the real healing was able to come in. But being honest with them so they would know that what you seen, the sins of the father, that you didn't have to become. Now I have these thriving 19-year-old, 23-year-old, and a 30-year-old that are doing great things. And I don't have to worry about them when they're in a relationship that they're going to have those signs because one thing that they're looking at, I'm not putting you through what my mother went through. And, you know, I'm not that type of man. And my mother raised me like this. And so now that I had to go through the inward healing to be outward healing, talk to my sons, because I have nothing but sons. And so knowing that I wanted to see them better, I didn't want to see them having to be mad and raising their hand at a woman, because that's not how they were brought up, even under the hand of my father, you know. So taking the journey to me was an inside job. I had to dig in. I had to talk to me. I had to write it out. I had to then, you know, like I said, in certain vignettes, I was able to share and more healing became. Publicly now, it's like sharing it with other people I don't even really know versus the ones that they were, you know, around me. But that's what will be how I did.
I just there's some key pieces that you said in there that I want to make sure that they really took to heart. And one of those things is she had to look in the mirror. And I think that that is the biggest piece that keeps us stuck, because a lot of times we can admit, and it's very easy for us to say what somebody has done to us, right? They stole from us, they hit us, you know, because it's easy because they're the bad guy. And so when you're not the bad person, you can tell the whole story. Let me tell you about what they done did today, right? What had happened was, and it becomes easy, but when you have to look in the mirror and look at yourself and not talk about what they did, because that doesn't change what's in the mirror, but talk about you. How, you know, what's going on with you? What are you really feeling? What's going on the inside? And like, you know, even journaling, getting all of those things out so that you can deal with them. Because see, I think what we do is we push them down and we pretend like because we packed them in the bag and we pushed them down that they're not what's happening is happening. And that's just not true. Because it's still who you are. Just because you want to ignore it doesn't mean it doesn't exist. You know, like I can ignore, you know, my kids when they're calling my name, but they're still calling my name. It doesn't change what's really going on. And I think we have to get to that place where we're willing and ready to look in the mirror. Like, and then the second part, that honesty. Even in just being honest with your sons, it forced you to be honest with yourself. And it forced you to deal with it within yourself, because you couldn't cover it up. And you couldn't pretend and put this little blanket over it like, oh, you know, it's not that bad. We'll just...
Exactly. That is correct. Right. That is so true.
And
honesty is essential, because if you don't, you'll be walking around, I feel like sometimes with this cloud hovering over you, you know, because you won't be true to it. How can you own who you are if you can't even be true to who you are? And, you know, now that I'm helping other women and things of that nature, how can I share with them how to own their beauty if I don't own mine? You know, even with flaws and all, even some days makeup, no makeup, you know. So how can we do that? Because you can continue every day trying to cover it up and cover it up, but it's still there, because when you look in the mirror, you're going to have to see. In my case, when I look in the mirror, I'm going to see that it's there. And that's a consistent reminder to me. And am I going to tell the truth, or am I going to continue to cover it up as when I do get ready to put my concealer on and things of that nature? But being honest is so essential. We know what they did to us. But at the same token, it's not like I'm looking at myself, seeing that what did I do to cause it, but I'm looking at what do I do to make sure it never happens again, you know? And so that is so essential because I have to make sure that anything in me won't call that spirit back to me because I don't want that. I don't want that in front of my children. You know, I don't want next time I may not be as blessed that this is just an issue or I got a twinge in my knee or whatever the case may be. You know what I'm saying? I might not be so blessed. And so my thing is if you take the time to examine yourself, know that you are not the problem, you know, but you do have the solution. And that solution can come from within.
Exactly. And I think that that's the piece that we need to start talking about because we don't want to victim blame and we don't want, you know, you're never at fault for what happened to you. And that's not what any of us are trying to ever say. But at some point, we got to look within and deal with what is attracting this? What am I putting out there that I don't even recognize or realize? Or what dysfunction have I normalized? You know, like you said, going back to childhood. What dysfunction have I normalized? So therefore, I'm attracting this level of dysfunction because it's normal. Something as simple as that. And the moment you realize that you have the power to change that whole conversation, this ain't normal and this will not occur in my life. When you do that, guess what? You stop attracting it because it's like a repellent. You know, you done sprayed the repellent and it doesn't want to come. And I think that is so important, that personal accountability and understanding that we have the power. We have, you know, a lot of times I talk to people and I say, you know, like, how do we prevent domestic violence? How do we eradicate domestic violence? And people will say things like, oh, there's no way to do that, or it doesn't exist, or, you know, harsher penalties for abusers. And I keep saying, when you gonna say that you got the power? Like, domestic violence only exists because we give away our power. And we normalize that as what we're supposed to do. And if we just started walking around, if every single person, man, woman, child, walked around and said, I'm in control of this, I don't tolerate this, this, and this, they're going to beat up on themselves? Because
come on. It's not going to be me.
It ain't going to be me no more either. And that's just how we're going to have to start looking at this thing. You know, I'm not saying that we don't need penalties for people who abuse people or penalties for people who end up killing people. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that's an after effect. I'm trying to do the before. Let's do some work before so we don't have another generation who's dying at 17, 18, 30, 40, 50 at the hands of domestic violence. Let's do something beforehand. Because that after effect means that somebody's already experienced it. And something bad has already happened. I just think we really need to start having those conversations. But again, I just am totally grateful and thankful that you decided to do this with me and share your story again, you know, for the second time, yay, with the world, and just really usher in a spirit of healing. But before we close out completely, I want to give you the opportunity to speak what's on your heart. Speak to the man or the woman who's watching right now who has survived and they're stuck. They're stuck in that survival space. They're like, I can't forgive. I ain't healing. I'm not looking in the mirror because I didn't do it. You know, they're just in that space. And let's just be honest, because we all have been in that space. So you're not alone in that space. But whatever's on your heart to say to them, I want to give you this opportunity to say it.
Sure. My sister or my brother, because we know it happens to men too. As I look back over my life, you know, now I look at things that led up to certain things, what I was oblivious to or ignored because of the fact that who doesn't want to be loved, but being loved in such a way that it didn't hurt. Pay attention to signs. They are there. now that we're in an age now that we are not really communicating pretty much like we should, because we are always on our cell phones or some social media device. You need to take the time to sit and communicate. If I had took the time to really investigate a person, and not trying to say that I'm being 5 or anything like that, but just taking the time to talk to somebody, the signs of who they are sometimes relevant at that moment, and we just don't recognize it. The elevation of someone's thing, something or anything like that, stopping it before we have it happen. Sometimes we can't because we got to pay attention to signals, especially if someone is saying to you, "Yeah, I like the way you're wearing. That should only be it's still a sign because you need to find out. Okay, how are they um, uh, viewing you? I don't know why it seemed like telling me I don't know what happened. But someone's thank you for viewing Zoom. We still here together? We still here? Okay, okay, sorry. But all right. Um, those signs of people saying certain things to you, the way they grab your hand, the way they show that they love you, pay attention to those things if they can escalate into something else. In my relationships that I went through, there was levels, and I didn't recognize it at first. And really until I got to the second relationship, honestly. But then when the third came along, I saw some things, but it was kind of too late. You know what I'm saying? It kind of like he masked it for a while, and then all of a sudden, boom, this is who I really am. So just be careful that you're very mindful. Yourself and in the situations you get kind of like, haven't you got married yet, or why aren't you married? Because I've learned to watch the signs, and now that I can say now I wasn't able to see those things. So I would say to my sister, I would say to my brother, watch for the signs because if they are there, don't be ignorant to the fact that I love you. Because I love you carries so much more in some people's eyes. I love you means I love you, even though I just popped you upside the head. I love you means, even though I said something vulgar to you about your body shape or how you look today or how you walk, or however the case may be. That's my personal, issues that I had. But those signs are there. Be careful with those. Know their love language. I know it sounds cliche-ish, but it's some truth to that. Know a person's love language because if their love language is putting their hands on you or saying vulgar things to you, be careful with that because it can escalate. It escalated in my third relationship, and like I said, the best thing that really came out of a relationship is the two boys I have with them, and to see that they are now men of standard and things of that nature. I'm elated to that, but it could have been so much different because I could have stayed in that web and allowed them to see how much further that he would take them because they could be in that role model. So pay attention to signs. Learn your person that you're dating. Don't take it haphazardly because a person will show you so much enough to pull you in. And when they have you and they think they got you wrapped around their finger, so to speak, with the words they do and the actions they do, make sure you pay attention because whatever that is, keep drawing it. You have the power. You have the potential to make sure it does not have to go any further. You are loved when you first love yourself. And if you love yourself so much, you won't stand for anything less. You would need more than just, oh, baby, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to do it. Oops, my bad. You could get beyond those things because I'm telling you, those things will multiply and multiply. You, girl, brother, you got the power to make it stop. Your voice. You're packing your bags and leaving. I packed my bags and left with my children and they never looked back. And like I said, 19 years later, I'm happy. I'm thriving from a place that I'm giving to people without bleeding on people because I'm no longer that tear bag anymore, crying at every whim. I'm no longer her. 10 years later, 19 years later, whatever the case may be, I'm a whole lot stronger from what I've shared.
Exactly, exactly, exactly. I hope you guys heard that last piece she said. I am a whole lot stronger because of what I have endured, like what I've gone through. It's made me a better person, and it really can if you allow it to. And instead of making, anybody who's ever followed me, one of my favorite sayings, don't be bitter, be better. Let it make you better and not bitter. And let it make you exactly who he purposed you to be. And with that, we don't want to hold you up too much longer because there's so many more amazing thrivers that I want you to hear from. And I don't want you to, just stop here. I want you to hear it all. But I want to thank again Miss JNicolle for gracing the Telesummit with her presence, her knowledge, her wisdom, her story. Thank you, thank you, thank you once again for that. And for all of you watching, don't forget, share, subscribe, register, and of course, buy a tea, buy a book, put your money where your mouth is. Let's make a difference in our community, right? Right. So until next time, I want to wish you love, peace, and baby powder freshness. Bye-bye.